All right, welcome everyone. This is Newton again on your weekend Halloween weekend stream, right? Kind of an unexpected stream, but unexpected for good reason in the sense that my good comrade, colleague slash friend here, Curran. Is that I keep forgetting? Is that the correct way to pronounce your name?
It's Curran.
Curran. Okay, so I have Curran here who no surprise, top eight of this morning's Legacy Challenge. I think the biggest surprise that is he's on West Coast time and woke up for it. But uh, another stellar performance by Curran, who made the top 16 of last week's challenge on I think a 5-2 run, and then I think went 5-1 today in the Swiss before petering out, I guess, in the top four. Everything accurate with what I just said?
Yep, everything is 100% accurate.
All right, perfect. So for those of you who don't know Curran, I'll go ahead and post his Twitter here. So give him a follow. Usually his lists are not too different from mine. In today's the case of today, he actually was only one card off. So before I get started on that, you want to show your deck list, Curran, that you ran for today, and I'll post your Twitch here on the chat.
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull up the deck list here.
And then if there's any audible issues, I do have. This is gonna be my first time streaming with Curran with the new microphone. So I think any issues that we had with sound volume in the past should be gone now because I think I was on the Dark Depths podcast with this microphone, and I think Romario was on I think one or two times. So I think any issues we had in the past should be resolved now. But if there are any, you know, difficulties, please let either of us know so I can adjust in real time here. All right,
Awesome.
with that said, yeah. So how did the list feel today? I do want to point out this is the same list I ran earlier this week on my stream with the spreadsheet optimizer, and the only difference was, Kieran wanted to punish some graveyard players with that single leyline of the void. But I think aside from that, do you want to, comment a little bit about how the deck felt and like what you think the flex cards are? And I mean, the ball is in your court.
Yeah, I'll go through the list. I honestly think it is a well-oiled machine at this time. I really have a hard time trying to figure out if there's something I would rather have. Like, the numbers here are perfect to me. I don't. Elvish Spirit Guide is not, in too many, but it's there enough to like help break hands open a little bit. Uh, it's good to have two copies of Visionary in case the first one gets wasted. Three Shepherd is completely fine. Like four is a little bit too repetitive. The crop rotation is insane with both the utility lands and the main deck. Um, and then, yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's a well-oiled machine. Like basically every game, I'm just like crafting my macro basically around Fiend Artisan. What is he going to grab? How soon can we grab a lock piece, etc., etc. And then the sideboard was a little off from yours, as you mentioned, the ley line over the Chalice of the Void. Not, I wanted to run the Chalice, but I was not quite ready to just pick it up for the 20-ish dollars that it is. So I was like, all right, I'll just run one ley line over it because I've typically been a fan of ley line, and it did come in relevant today against both lands and Reanimator.
Please tell me you
But
drew it against Reanimator. Please tell me. That'd be awesome.
yeah, I did draw it against
All
Reanimator. But yeah, it was. I don't know. Like the Turn the Earth was sweet. It felt really good to pack the extra Force of Vigors, especially with the amount of moon Stomp yes on the day.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. The deck is. I feel like it's in a really, really tight spot right now. Like in a really good spot, and it's hard to see like to innovate any further in the main.
No, that's all good news to hear. I'm glad. I jokingly tweeted out like the stream. I believe it was Wednesday, so 3 days ago. I tweeted out that I was gonna stream using math essentially to optimize the last few slots in our sideboard. The main deck had been quote unquote solved. I say this because every time I say that in the last month or so, 2 days later, never mind. I just broke the deck again, right? Like for instance, moving you know the Caracas and the card rotation to the main, and then the opposition agent follows suit, and then eventually the innovation of the Spirit Guides for speed. Uh, Notably, I think that card has been one of the biggest pleasant surprises because historically speaking, that card has been tried before and just never really worked because I guess we're just having more bad cards, right? Or maybe bad is not the right word. Higher variance cards, but everything else is now rock solid because you're running dorks instead of Heritage Druid and Birchlore Rangers, and I think Feed Artisan is higher floor than Glimpse because Glimpse the floor is you don't play Magic, right? Like if they have a Hull Breach or you don't have mana, at least Artisan the floor is the Tarmogoyf, right? But I'm very happy it ran really smoothly for you. I think the only thing I will say is okay, now that I'm blanking on what I was gonna say, I do think the main deck is like mostly solved for the time being, unless we come up with something new. How did the sideboard feel to you today?
I mean, the sideboard felt pretty solid all around, I would say. I didn't have like any glaring issues or anything like that. The ins and outs were easy. I just followed the chart, the good old chart, and it worked out. So
Awesome. Okay, so I think before we hop right into it, here are my socials again. If you want, access to the chart that Curran is referencing, this is on my Patreon. There's older versions on that's shared. I can post that here later if somebody wants, the free 99 version, I guess. But that one is a little bit dated because I will only update every few months or so because of what's the word I'm looking for? Of scouting issues that have happened in the past. But the one thing I want to touch upon is you mentioned utilizing artisan the right way. Would you agree with this character characterization of the deck? It's really a prison deck with a combo finish. Namely, we want to set up a board state that means we're gonna win no matter what, and then natural order is just your free win. Every once in a while, right? Would you say that's accurate or no?
yeah, I would say that's accurate. Like, we're not necessarily prison in the sense that we're gonna hard lock you for a very long time. We're gonna just lock you long enough
Yes.
so that we draw something like natural order or something game ending and actually end the game that way.
Yeah, that is a good point. It's a soft lock is probably more accurate, right? Because you have some of these pieces, they're not, I win outside of maybe a collective against, 8 cash or something like that, right? Where they're just like stone cold locked sometimes. But more or less soft locks that is hard for them to break out.
Right, exactly. And it gives us enough time to get to where we need to be first because our top decks are inherently strong
Hmm.
the way the deck is built. So,
Perfect. So, I don't know what you had it on your plan tonight, Current. I don't know how busy you are, but I was thinking we can just quickly run through the 8 matches. How does that sound?
yeah, that sounds great. I am down to do all of those reviews real quick. Let's hop into round one.
Hmm. And I'll let you drive here. I'm sharing your screen. I think everybody can see your screen, and then you can go ahead, just kind of like walk through your thought process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hate doing that. I shipped past a hand. Okay, so in the blind, this was the first seven I was looking at. Obviously, I skipped to the part where I shipped it already, but would you have done something similar to me?
I think I shipped that back too. That looks pretty sketch.
Yeah, it's just like things are too high in the curve. Crop rotation may not be doing anything. But this is the six that we keep. I think we just bought them by you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the ideal hand is like you have. Ooh, I think I probably would have ramped for what it's worth.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've gotten so used to the luxury of holding on to my Zeniths,
That's
I
fair.
guess.
To be honest, when your reclaimer is your failback plan, it's not bad.
Anyway, here's Tabernacle, just right off the rip.
Right, the fun police is here, right on the other side.
Yeah. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, now I'll give it a ramp.
Okay, I like that. I love the old trigger on the stack rotate for cradle too, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's actually what I'm gonna default to here next turn.
One of my favorite plays for sure in this matchup. Yep. So textbook play here from Curran here, right? Just unlocking our mana, so to speak. For those on chat wondering what I'm drinking beer here to I cheers with Curran earlier tonight, right before the stream started, to congratulate him on the awesome run again.
And I'm drinking cider, folks. Don't worry. Newton's not drinking alone. So whistling came after Cradle, which means we got to just kind of set up the same exact line again.
Looks good. Yeah, I think there's some underlying assumption here that Kieran's gonna assume the audience is familiar enough with the sequencing with L's. We're not gonna touch too much on that because I feel like that's not the best use of time. So if there is questions, feel free to ask either of us after the fact.
I do need to make myself a tropical island mic. That's what I was drinking with him in Romario while we were in at the pit in Richmond. Tropical Islands at happy hour.
Nice, sick. I love it.
So I decided to green some for 3 here to get endurance to clean up the punishing fire that was in the graveyard. And
Makes
then
sense.
also just add to the 3/4 kind of like imminent tribal here.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Lance players, these dirty Lance players will not let you go wide, so we have to go tall, right?
Right, exactly. Punishing fire the land world, sure, no big deal. And we actually drew Cradle here, so we get to Visionary right into.
Oh, this is too beautiful.
Yep, just right into a beautiful hoof.
They have the maze, but we pretty much have lethal following turn.
Yep, they are at 1, and that is the end of the game.
Oh, I love it. So I didn't mean to cut it off. Go ahead.
Just go tall, basically, is exactly the game plan. 3/4s for days.
I love it. I'll be. I mean, we went through pretty quickly, but I don't think I would have done anything differently there. Curran played that pretty masterfully, right?
Yeah, I like to think that it went pretty much the same way. And here's the one of Leyline doing work in game 2, by the way.
So I will bow down to Kieran's metagaming here, right? Like the Chalice of the Void would have been a blank, right? We would have had some other card boarded in, but I love that the ley line is doing work.
Alright, so Tabernacle out of hand. Sweet, here we go again. I decided to green some for 1 here for a reclaimer so I can kind of get to Cradle faster.
No, that totally makes sense. I think that's fine. In my experience, it's very difficult to win this matchup without Kratos, so I think that's totally good. Would you how would you agree with that assessment or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cradle is such an important piece against lands.
Yeah, I would say we against some of the other matchups, you can probably win without Cradle. This one, I find it almost impossible because of the way they play for the most part. They're pretty much hell bent on us not going wide. So what did we just miss right now? What did they do? Oh, they. I think they.
Yeah, they balked last turn, and we just kind of got to pay with the two forests. We ripped the land, made it our. It was an arbor, and we were able to natural order out the progenitus.
Love it. Love it. So pretty much, again, pretty textbook gameplay against lands. Um, Most of our wins involve going tall, so progenitus is like ideal. Sometimes we can get outraced by, sometimes they just have the merit lage, but I've found for the most part, between endurance and Caracas and crop, usually merit lage, if you play carefully, is not gonna beat you.
Yeah, and then they did have the chasm here for the first attack, so we kind of had to just wait things out.
Mm-hmm. The good thing about that is it's almost like they double stone rain themselves, right?
Exactly. Love the stone rain effect that comes with glacial chasm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here, and you have insurance too with a crop rotation.
Yeah, it's sick. And they have to pay one into keeping the reclaimer alive, so they don't have activation mana here.
I love it. The Layla actually doing huge work here.
And we draw the Boseiju.
Sweet. Love it.
Crop rotation into another cradle so we can get activation and swing with everybody.
Oh my god, this is just too perfect. I love it.
So easy 2-0 against lands, more or less.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, well, I don't know, I guess maybe not, but, like, I feel like we've kind of put lands on notice, right? It's just like, alright, it's your move now, right? We've kind of solved the matchup, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's their turn to innovate now and come back at us.
But by no
Alright.
means do I think we're favored, but I do think it's significantly better than what it was before.
Alright. But here is the worst round of the series. So let's see what happened here. Pretty keepable hand, pretty standard.
Mm-hmm. I think the only way the hand gets a little bit better is you have ramp, but there you go. There's the ramp.
I took a cradle from that pile. I think it had just a bunch of lands in it, if I recall correctly. But cradle's powerful, so.
Thank you for the follow. Right now. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, in the dark, if you don't know what to take, if Cradle is one of the options, it's probably like 95% to be right.
Yeah, just take the broken card.
Take the card that feels like a vintage card, right?
Yeah. Alright, so we get met with Swords to Plowshares, classic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Another cradle, kind of not what you want to see, but we'll work with it for the time being.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing I would have done there differently is because we have two cradles. I'd probably run out the one cradle over the bayou in case they have wasteland for whatever reason.
Yeah, I guess that, to be fair, Wasteland wasn't on top of my mind with these basics, but this is the format these days. They can do things like that, I suppose.
Or I guess maybe not. I think with that, fetch pattern from the opponent, back to basics is probably more likely than anything else.
Yeah, that's fair. So they played Narset into Force of Will,
Mm-hmm.
at which point we drew Shepherd.
Love it.
Get the Fiend Artisan out. Be for some damage of Narset.
Oh, I think. Oh, never mind. I take that back. I was gonna say something, but I realized you have no land in your graveyard.
Yeah. Sad. Now this is where things get super sad for us. Because we drew
Ew.
Supreme Verdict.
Ew. Do we have mana? Yeah, I guess that's pretty rough. Like, I think. Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Just not really a lot to be done about that. So now
I think the only thing we could have done, and it's kind of a guess, right? We don't know their list. Maybe we hold the Fiend Artisan, but that's about it, I think.
Yeah, and that just seems worse than developing it, and making sure that it's active.
I think
And
it. I think if I were in the same position as you, I probably would have made the same play, and also probably just get hit with a supreme verdict same way. I don't know how many supreme verdicts are in their list normally, but I probably would have ran it out too for what it's worth.
so this next move is kind of like I think the worst thing I did on the day. I saw the blood in the water and I sent my shepherd into attack, and then like right after I attacked, my brain was like, "What about Shark Typhoon?" And they were like, "Hey, guess what? Shark Typhoon."
Yeah, I mean, I don't fault you. I feel like we're kind of behind, and we have to kind of take the Narset off the board potentially in case we draw like a visionary. That said, like they could have the 4 drop Elspeth as well.
Yeah,
But I mean, I think it's hard. Like I think we're already behind. I think really the supreme verdict was the backbreaker there.
yeah, just kind of not much to be done about it. I think this is the point where they like draw to fairy. Yeah, they just start kind of wrecking me on card,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I think we can probably go to the next game. We're pretty behind here already.
yeah,
I mean, there's a world you can come back, but usually, especially since Wilkie is a good player, it's hard to come back unless they make mistakes.
yeah. Anyway, welcome to game two. This is the hand we keep. It's a little land heavy, but it still has the right stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. I would keep that too. What are the options? Uh,
Uh, yeah, so I think
Dorks
we just took land orals here.
makes sense.
Cast it to keep information. Sure, get met by the plow. So I think this turn I ended up, yeah, just kind of developing the land and getting ready to fetch Arbor here. I don't know if that was better than just slamming Fiend Artisan.
I think I would have probably slammed Feed Artisan because it makes better use of our mana.
Okay.
Also, we do have the Cradle as well, so we can actually feed into something relevant the next turn as well. You know what I mean?
So this one was interesting. Progenitus is definitely in deck, but I didn't want to cast Natural Order here just to sack something and get force with 6 cards in hand.
Um,
Uh,
Go ahead.
so I opted for Artisan here. Would you have chased a Natural Order?
I would have actually did both, right? Because if you cast the Artisan that resolves, you actually get the mana from the Cradle to natural order for.
Oh, I see that now. Yeah, that was my mistake then.
Yeah, so if they force the natural order, you have the backup one the following turn. But this way, you're cut off from force checking them with the first one. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I've been there too, where you tunnel vision into like a creature, right? So it happens. Ooh.
The dress gown here. Yeah, that's right. These dress gowns were brutal. Oh god, I remember what happens here.
Oh my god, is it gonna be a K return?
No, even worse. Ah!
Oh Jesus. Oh my god. I think how many they have 4 cards in hand. I think the game might have been lost on the turn. where we didn't natural order, but because I actually don't think Ruination's like great against us. I think it's like real gimmicky, personally. But it just happened to be good there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hate it when it's just like actually accidentally good somewhere. I couldn't cast Fiend Artisan because no creatures had abilities. Teferi comes down. Things get kind of fucking terrible from here. I draw the Progenitus. Classic. Everything's going wrong, so.
So the good thing is, I will say, if we want to, you, look at the glass half full, right? I do think it's possible we win this game if we had sequenced a little bit differently. But so there is some what is the word I'm looking for? Some positive news, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, at least knowing that there was tighter sequencing that could have been done is nice to know, but.
The way it played
Uh,
out, it almost seems like they didn't have the sweeper. You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh my god. Yep, so that was the bad round. Um, let's head into the first of the three Moonstompy matchups.
Nice. So the good thing is also for those of you, our hero here, Curran. Everybody loves a good comeback story, right? So this is where that begins.
Exactly. That's how I play. Okay, so this is the hand we kept just in the dark. Pretty okay-ish.
hmm
Like, we don't know what we're up against.
Chromox. That's never a welcome sight.
And that's probably game.
Sadly, that's how this matchup plays out. Especially if they know what you're on. So I'll let you narrow it in case something happens unexpectedly. But I'm gonna go ahead and get some water. I just finished my beer.
Yeah, so basically, we lost this game to turn one Blood Moon, which is a weakness uh, with this deck, which is part of the reason that we're playing Elvish Spirit Guide these days. So if you haven't made that change yet, you probably should.
Yeah. For those who, the question I get asked a lot is like, "Oh, is Elvis Spear Guide for days?" Right? I'm like, I mean, that's part of what makes it good, but it's really for this matchup. Thank you for the follow, Fitz Rancor.
Alright, well, this is where we come back into game two here. We keep a hand with a basic forest, so everything's gonna be okay.
Nice.
Took a second basic forest just to show who's boss.
So I do think I probably would have been greedy and taken the cradle personally, but I respect playing it safe too.
So this is where a lot of the philosophy for this matchup is. This is why this is good, right? Our opponent's like, this card's obviously insane versus elves, but the truth is, this card's the best card in the matchup, and it's not close.
the
It's a flash threat with 4 toughness, which means it dodges fiery confluence, and it makes Fury have to target it single-handedly if they want to burn a Fury on it. You'll see a perfect example of us just eating damage for breakfast.
Oh, you know the opponent?
No, I don't know the opponent.
Oh, I thought you. I misheard then. I thought you said David.
Oh, no, no. Um, but basically, we just kind of build up a little natural order army here in the meantime. We get some guys killed. That's too bad.
So I think there I would. Did you play the Visionary to search for land? I'm assuming. I think I might have.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's why I did it. I wanted to hit my land drop.
it's fair. Otherwise, I would have been tempted to play the second endurance. But yeah, that makes sense. Like hitting land drops, just getting to 4 mana is like huge in this matchup.
Blood Moon's not going to matter here, and we have 4 mana, and we're untapping into natural order with plenty of people. Oh, there's a Colonel too, so let's see.
Nice.
And there's the game.
Love it. So I think your opponent normally plays Reanimator. They must not be doing too hot, or maybe they just want to change things up. Is why I think they're on Moon Stompy.
Yeah, I think I have recognized them as a previous Reanimator player. Um, so this one again, we have solid mana that plays around Moon. We have Force of Vigor. We have Endurance. There's no reason not to keep this one.
Yeah. So notably, also, the difference of adding two Elvish Spirit Guide to the deck also means that our green source count through Blood Moon doubles from 2 to 4, right? So pretty huge. And all four can be found off Once Upon a Time, which is also a big deal.
Yeah, it's awesome. So Legion War Boss comes out to play, but we're just being calm because we're just going to power out Endurance on the next combat step.
Why did you play the Visionary there?
Because we're going to block with Endurance.
Oh, I
We
see.
have
With the Spirit Guide, you mean? Sure, that's fair.
yeah.
Heads up play for sure. I think I would have fought also with at the upkeep for what it's worth.
Um, this was kind of embarrassing for my opponent. They tried to finish off Endurance, but got eaten alive by their own chalice.
I don't think I would have done it with a Mox trigger on the stack. I probably would have let them have the land and then hit both, right? Then they're just down 2 cards. But a reasonable play from Mike too. I think it's like not the worst to hit the Chalice and the Mox at the same time. That's like reasonable too. Maybe that's better because you cut them off lands.
Yeah, at the end step here, I am actually firing off the Force of Vigor, getting rid of the Llanowar Elves, and we're just gonna play it safe here a little bit. By safe, I mean I'm still gonna swing, but
Yeah, safe as in we're gonna have 3/4 aggro. I mean a 3/4 tribal, right?
yeah.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I do like Mike's line because it's a guaranteed 2 for 2 already, and then maybe you just like screw them completely, right? If they don't have a red source. So pretty reasonable. My line would have been upkeep, hit both, but then I think with the chalice out, that's fine. And then here we just have lethal.
And that's game.
Love it. I love it so far. So for those who don't know, Curran and I have had this discussion about whether the matchup is good or not. I'm of the opinion we're actually slightly unfavored, but Curran here is the master at beating Moonstompy. So if you want tips at beating the matchup, here he beats the matchup 3 times in the same outing. Me, I have lost win-ins because of this matchup, so I can't really speak from my own experience.
I just think it's gotten a lot better since then, though, too, right? Like I don't know.
The Spirit Guides, I will say, help, and that was a recent innovation that predates, sorry, that postdates, my narrow top 8 misses in the recent showcases as a result of Moonstompy, right? We've had some multiple Elf top 8 runs ended by Moonstompy in the showcases recently. So I'm hoping Curran is right, and now that the recent addition of Spirit Guide and Force of Vigor have just made it hopefully unlosable now, right?
That is the hope.
All right.
Okay, so we're moving on into the Blue-Red Delver match of the Swiss.
Mm.
I remember this pretty vividly. This first hand was
I think given that the crop is also in the hand and we have like a couple of 2 and 3 drops, I'd probably mold his hand. We don't have a 1 drop too, right? That's the other problem.
Yeah. Now this is the six, and what would you have done here? Would you have kept this?
I'd probably mold that as well.
Okay. Well, I didn't do that. I bottomed the bog, and I was like, "Let's go. I'll draw a 1 drop. It'll be fine." And they started with their ideal opener, I suppose. And we drew a Crater Hoof because we're really good.
Yeah, see, Cradle finds itself into our hands at the worst opportunity, the most inopportune times, right?
Yeah, that's part of the struggles out here playing this deck.
I will say, like we have that issue less now ever since we cut some of the more situational cards like Glimpse of Nature and only play one natural order target essentially main deck. But ever since, but Hoof and Prague especially find their ways into our hands a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Now you can see here that we get to practice playing around days like a sneaky person.
I love it.
Finds our way into a natural order, just kind of another dead card right now, all things considered. Symbiote, I threw it out to hopefully bait. Force of Will didn't
Mm-hmm.
happen, but at this point they elect to bolt the symbiote, making me withdraw the visionary so I can draw another card.
Makes sense. Yeah, because we are very far from winning because of that Hoof, right?
Yeah, we are super far away. And this is a friendly Murktide region.
Yeah, if I were to guess, we probably lost this game.
Wow. Your astute observation is correct.
I was just gonna say we're drawing all the wrong cards at all the wrong time.
So a tragic game one in the classic Curran manner. Just fucking lose game one, go get game two and three. Let's get it. Sick hand, by the way. Love this one.
Nice.
Once Upon a Time reveals Reclaimer, so we just throw this out here and be like, if you want to remove it, that's totally fine. We have more where that came from. So at this point, I'm just playing this to make it look like I'm stupid and I don't have the activation up, but I do have the
I love
activation
it.
up. No wasteland to play around here anyway, just a cantrip, some development,
Mm-hmm.
and we get a cradle for free out of the deal. We just main phase endurance because Shepard's down and they're tapped out, and it's just best to play around that bolt and force of will stuff. So that's why we kind of main phased it all there. Wasteland tragically eats the cradle, but we have things on lockdown with endurance, thankfully. We're just gonna bide our time and get ready to get into our cradle and also turn Reclaimer into a 3/4.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. It's one of the best feelings I would say around when you have an unchecked what is it called cradle. Being un-
Yeah,
be,
awesome.
being able to untap with that, I mean.
So this green sun is going to get met by Force of Will and Ponder as the last cards in hand after the Shepherd got heated.
Mm-hmm.
But since there's 0 cards in hand, we're free to play a bunch of 3/4s.
Makes sense.
This block is pretty questionable, but we'll take it.
So thing is, did we have enough mana to lead with the reclaimers before the green sun? Because I feel like we could have potentially bogged them right at the same time as well, just to prevent a top look.
Yeah, I think I could have sequenced that a little bit tighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now at this point I've got to leave Reclaimer up to get black mana. Oh, I bog here preemptively.
Makes
That's
sense.
a good call.
All right, so they probably get EI back. I think, by the way, I would do that on upkeep. So what I mean by that is like let them draw their card. If they don't, then they can't. They miss their sanctuary. If they go for it, we bog in response. You know what I mean? I would have waited.
Yeah, that's fair. There was no reason not to for that. I shouldn't have waited there. I guess my mind was probably just because I was preset playing endurances and things like that. I was probably on the same wavelength there.
For sure, for sure. No, it happens with the tunnel vision all the time. For sure, I feel you on that. Here, the Tarmogoyf tribal essentially taking over the game. That's essentially what we are now. I feel like we're just a bunch of X4s,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Just cheap, strong beaters. So that's how we took over game 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty textbook. I think the only thing, like I said, was possible we could have bogged a turn earlier, but overall pretty clean play.
Did I keep this hand?
I feel like you did because I would.
I did.
Yeah. We have a couple turns to draw. The second land. Arbor not ideal, but worst case we had to play that as our second land. Interesting. Why'd you leave with the shepherd there?
So I led with Shepherd because they were th- like dazing with Delver out is like the ideal play in my opinion. It's like the best time to use your daze. So I wanted to blank daze and then also possibly lure a bolt, but I got something a little bit better even by being able to block this Delver with Shepherd and have a second Shepherd ready to go.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not intuitive, and I may not have made that move, but I definitely see the logic for it.
Anyway, this counterbalance is adorable. Here's the Shepherd.
I love it.
And the ESG also was just icing on the cake because I was able to deploy Symbiote and now protect the Shepherd.
I cannot emphasize how good ESG can be in Legacy because it's almost impossible for them to play around. And
Yep,
the reason being is because we only have two, right? Like, are you gonna really play around a two of?
I wouldn't.
Exactly. So I
So, yeah, we got wasted on the Dryad Arbor, but this turn we got to play Finhorn Hills uncounterably
yeah,
draw expressive.
I do like the Finhorn L play here because you want to make sure the artisan is out of range, and it's not like we have the mana to you know activate artisan even if we untap with this. So I do like the play there, very tight. Love it. I love it.
Yep, just gotta police the yard.
Notably, current heads up play did in main phase there, so that your opponent is cannot really brainstorm into something right to force it.
Right, exactly. And here comes expressive.
Heads up play, by the way, not getting an arbor. I know a lot of people would make that mistake.
Yeah. This submerge is going on the shepherd, but in response we bounce it to our hands thanks to symbiote.
Ooh.
Kind of interesting play.
So unless they force here, that play doesn't really make any sense, right?
I think they end up forcing. Yeah, they
Okay.
do.
I mean, we'll take that any day, right? It's a 3 for 1.
Yeah, and like Shepard's just now back out on the table like nothing happened, and we're holding Cradle so we can try to get an activation.
Imagine if that was a glimpse. How bad that would have been. You know what I mean?
It's true
Yeah,
though.
it is very true.
And now we drew another Fiend Artisan because we're disgusting.
Yeah, Fiend Artist is just obscene how good the card is.
Cool, cool. 5/5 on the table, and we.
A casual Gurmite Angler, right? For 2 mana. That is also a Green Sun Zenith.
So this is the point. Oh, where they submerge endurance,
Okay, that makes
which
no sense.
I guess to get the damage through, and then they're gonna Murktide here if I recall correctly. But this is all fine because we get to endurance, which sure grows the Murktide, but it's not gonna matter here in a minute when we go ahead and go get Grist off this Fiend Artisan.
Yeah, I was just gonna say you don't want to give the elf player the endurance when, like Fiend Artisan is. I think they prioritized the wrong card. Is what happened.
They have a petty theft. They keep drawing all this sick like fringe removal.
Yeah, they're drawing bombs actually. Actually, they should have attacked face both. I think, in my opinion.
Here's 8. Endurance back again.
I just love casual. We have our own Murktide, right?
Yeah, it's so good.
You know how there's that meme like, oh, we have XYZ at home. Yeah, we have Murktide at home.
They wasted me out, but it doesn't matter anymore.
I love it. I love it, Curran.
Brazen Borrower comes down. Sure thing, you got it.
I love it.
And that is the end of that match.
We won with no green sources at the end, but it just doesn't matter because we have board superiority.
Alright, so now on to the red-green version of Moonstompy.
So one thing I do want to point out is Karakas being just another land source actually helped us do the turn where we grist into artisan for endurance into artisan for grist all in the same turn. So I just think having extra lands is just really good in this build.
Oh yeah, especially in the Delver matchup. It
Yeah,
shines the most.
exactly. Like they're just trying to keep you off mana, and you just have like these fodder lands that essentially turn into cradles, right?
Exactly. So in the blind, keeping this hand because we have Once Upon a Time, we have ESG, we already have a land. I believe I just take Cradle here.
Yeah, I mean when in doubt. I actually think I don't fetch there because I want to hit a land drop because you're missing your second land drop there. But you know, better lucky than good, right? We still hit our cradle.
Yeah. So this is Trinisphere, if I recall correctly. Yep,
Okay.
they floated an ESG, not an SSG.
So the interesting thing is, ooh, interesting. I think I would have led with. Oh, actually, that's a mistake. I thought that was a. Ooh, actually.
This got, sadly, super punished, but
Okay, that makes sense actually. I thought the natural order was the endurance for a second because of the different art, but now your play makes a lot of sense.
Oh, okay.
I
I think at this point I end up actually
think you
just
hardcast
doing
it, right?
to natural order. Yeah.
No. I think I would try to hard. I would just hardcast the spirit guy there, right?
Oh, okay. That might have been better, but what I ended up doing was getting this endurance, cleaning the punishing fire, and then again, this is going to be an example where endurance is just so good in these types of matchups.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's reasonable too. The other reasonable line is like to get grist or something, right? But you lose to that, obviously.
So right off the top,
Oh, what a savage!
see ya.
That is a savage top deck.
I was like, that wasn't real.
No, you know what's the best part? You still have mana to Once Upon a Time. That is so disgusting. Oh man, Kurt, you are a savage.
All right, so I don't remember how this goes.
That's pretty good. So I think
I
I
don't
actually
remember exactly how this goes. This is such a crazy ending to this game. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I think there I would actually bounce the hamster attack and force the block. You know what I mean? Otherwise, we get. Well, actually, I guess it doesn't matter because we already have the second basing in play. So yeah, never mind.
This game gets crazy though. I just remembered it has a really dramatic ending. So they come in for 10 with the caves guy.
Uh huh.
That's trample. Um, and put me to 14. And then they minus two the Minskin Boo and launch. And I Caracas back the Boo in response.
Mm-hmm.
They launch the 10-8 at my face
What the
to put
heck?
me to 4.
Jesus. Okay.
Then they follow up with another Minskin Boo.
Hmm.
Now this is where it gets fucking wild, right? So they minus two, I guess, to do another damage to me and draw a card.
Uh huh.
So they're at 8. I have
7 damage. Yeah.
7 damage. They have a chalice in play. I draw the one draw, cast it, get it countered, bam, lethal.
Oh my god, that is sick. That is sick. I do think, for what it's worth, I do think there is a chance that we should have attacked the other turn. You know what I'm talking about? To force the block from the chaos, adventures or whatever.
It had 5 toughness at that point.
No. I mean before that, before because it got the +2/+2, the previous turn, right? So there is a chance they block there for what it's worth, but better lucky than good, perhaps, right?
I guess so. Jeez. God. Alright, anyway, so
I
game two.
I think okay. That Caracas rip might have been the sickest rip I've seen in a long time.
It was disgusting. Um, so this hand almost looks good, except for the fact that Blood Moon is a serious threat. And hold on, did I keep this? No, I didn't keep it.
I would
I
actually be
didn't
tempted.
keep this.
Can you go back? I think I would be tempted to keep the other hand. But
Yeah, let me go back and look at it again. Because looking at it a second time is kind of weird. So I guess if they
Yeah, I think I would keep this hand actually.
Interesting.
Because the snuff out's gonna be turned on, right? Unless they magus us, but I mean I don't know if they have magus in their list or not.
Well, we go to the six anyway, bottom of the progenitus,
Mm-hmm.
and just go ahead and see what happens. And they start out with the classic Chalice on one. So I deploy the Giant Arbor because my goal here is to turn two Endurance.
Makes sense. Interesting that you kept brought in the snuff out in this matchup. What did you not bring in that we normally do?
I need to go back and I'll show you. Actually,
You can actually go back to the screen. You can right click. It'll tell you. Yeah, so we can figure out here. Ah, so you didn't bring in you didn't keep in the oof, and I guess you boarded out the crop. I think I like those personally better than the snuff outs, but it's close. I definitely like the oof for sure though.
yeah, I definitely feel you. Um, yeah, I think it was close, but the Trinisphere here is good news because it means we get to stick to our original plan.
Mm-hmm.
This is where things get weird, though. So we aren't necessarily prepared for the moon portion,
Mm-hmm.
but they are at 14. Maybe we can get the chip damage in there.
Yeah, this is also why I'm not in love with snuff out against some of these moon stompy lists. The exception is if they run blood sun, they probably don't have blood moon. Then I like snuff out, but like it's real dicey when they try to like turn one moon us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think your macro game plan though is rock solid, because I have this joke that against these prison decks, the person who is closer to being hellbent is probably winning. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, because yeah, at that point, like their job is to be hell bent with lock pieces on the table,
Right, and if you're
and if
hellbent,
you're hell bent, yeah.
if you're hellbent, it means you got to play Magic.
So this is happening.
Ooh, we got the basic though. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I grab here. I just grabbed grist, I guess. Yeah,
Not a bad choice.
but fiery
Ooh.
confluence came to the party. I got to kill one of the Maguses off, but we're still not great. We get to swing back and put them to one. I had to once upon a time there and found a Dryad Arbor because I can't cast Fiend Artisan at this point through the Magus,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't cast Mystic through the Chalice. They're at one. They just hold up shields.
Ooh, brutal.
I send in because if they are going to trade their Magus, things become castable at least.
No, I like that a lot.
And
Solid.
then they threw their Spirit Guide away, punishing fire out the Endurance for the remaining damage,
Oof.
punishing fire out the Dryad Arbor. Now we're in trouble.
Yikes.
I think I literally draw lands for the rest of this game. Yeah, not even kidding. I'm just like, oh, this is cool. Yep, the door is closing. Yep, the door is closing. There's another one. Yep, door is closing.
We were so close, but yet so far, right?
Absolutely. And then we need to go to game 3 of that round. So this his hand is fire because we got the Once Upon a Time, of course. Pull up the Wooded Foothills, and we decide to get greedy a little bit. We're gonna try to push for the turn two grist.
Ah, I think that's like reasonable for
We
what
have
it's
the
worth.
Seiju like on the back end in case they go for the Blood Moon here, but they actually end up punishing fire, and we are still on track to cast turn two grist. Thank you so much to ESG for all of your service.
I love when the games play out the way we intended based on the deck building. You know what I mean? Like the ESG's there's fire here, right?
Yeah, now their Chalice on one looks pretty stinky. We draw the natural order, so we just plus one, play the cradle, and turn one of the insects right into a Progenitus.
Love
Turn
it.
three, and that's a
Well done. Well done.
so that is the Moon Stompy number two matchup. Now on to Moon Stompy number three. Playing against a good friend on Twitter, Sahar. Uh, they were so kind to ask me or let hope it's not too early in Portland. It was, but that's how we do. I want to go back and look at that game or that hand I shipped really quick. Why did I ship this?
This is which round?
This is game one of round six.
Ah, gotcha.
Why did I ship? Oh, wait, no. It says I mulled to six here. Hold on. Wait. It just preserves the log. Hold on. Why did I ship this?
Yeah, I would keep that for what it's worth.
I would too, but for some reason I shipped it.
Could be tunnel vision too. Like maybe it happens. Like I know I've been distracted before where I just like see things that aren't there.
Yeah, I'm a little lost on that one. Anyway, so they start with Chalice on one, which thankfully we have the Shepherd in hand for.
Uh huh.
So we start there.
So I think I actually would be tempted to keep that Caracas there. Um, and the logic being is because the crop is a little bit redundant with the cradle.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I mean, we're that's kind of small to be honest. Like crop is not like Caracas is not great either in this matchup.
So they did just pass turn there. They didn't have a follow up play to the Chalice on turn one, so we
Mm-hmm.
just kind of get to ramp up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think there I would be tempted to Green Sun for Wirewood. This is game one, right? Because we have natural order next turn. Like, we're scared of a Fury here or that.
Yeah, that's fair. Probably should have considered that a little more. But here I go grab another Shepherd. I Wirewood out, and I think I actually blow this crop rotation while I have the floating mana into a fetch land just to hold up.
Makes sense.
Just gotta see if we can like fade a turn here. And their turn was the Rabble Master, so we
Mm-hmm.
just took the one and untapped for the kill.
Nice. Yeah, I love these kind of games where it's just like you don't have to really think much, right? It's just like, oh, just we don't have to figure out what to do when we have natural order. It's like pretty defined game plan.
And then we go to game two. This has a pretty funny moment in it. Very much enjoy it. Oh, I should go back and look at that game when or that
I
hand I
saw a
should.
hoof in hand, so I don't blame you for shipping it.
Yeah, Hoof in
Yeah, I mean, odds are if the hand doesn't do anything turn one, probably not keeping.
This one is a little better. It has Force of Vigor, just in case things get too hairy. I bottomed the Fiend Artisan here, because I don't think it's good early game.
Mm.
And we just beat a Trinisphere, so not really anything too scary. Just gonna sequence that out. Pass.
Yeah, I
Blood Moon comes down, so we get the forest.
mhm. I would have been tempted to put the natural order back because we didn't have the lands, but I think this might end up working out for us because we kept it.
So at this point, the plan here. This is the funny part I think that comes up here. They play a Chalice on one. They're like, Exodia has been assembled, right? Like, they've got Trinisphere, they've got Blood Moon, they've got Chalice, and I'm just kind of sitting here laughing, going, like, none of this really matters here. Like,
Yeah, I don't think people realize our curve is pretty varied these days.
my plan is to just drop an Endurance on you.
I actually think the line here is to once upon a time for land.
Well, yeah, they do have the Trinisphere out, so I would have to invest all my mana, but again, I think Endurance is just the key to winning everything.
Well, we have
You know?
natural order in hand, right? It would be
Yeah,
it would you would get a progenitus.
that's fair. But I
But
also like the safety of my new plan.
well, your plan, what it does do is it does stop them from going wide. But I think at 19, I would play for the what's it called. I would probably play for the progenitus there, and knowing me, probably draw it on that sixth card, right?
Right. Anyway, we get the block on the Rabble Master, and things are just hilariously in our favor at this point.
Yeah, I
Here's
love
the
how
and
I love how, like you said, right? The Exodia just doesn't matter.
here it is. And that puts us into top eight.
Nice.
So let's go visit top eight and go look at actually what I do remember is my most glaring misplay of the entire tournament
In this game one or what?
in this game one.
Okay, we'll see if we can catch it.
Alright, I'll try not to allude to it. But, so I look at this hand, and this hand is insane to me because I know this player is on Reanimator.
Woo.
That's what they've been jamming. So I'm happy to just go and green some for one on turn one, getting a Reclaimer, basically,
Uh huh.
so that we can set up the 1-2 punch, as it were.
Right. Totally makes sense. Yeah, this is when knowing what your opponent is on really matters.
So they unmask themselves, pitching Gristlebrand. We see
Okay.
this. Um, they're bidding their Archon, pretty obviously,
Uh huh.
and then they go to reanimate. So we endurance pitching natural order
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's fine. Yeah.
and get the Archon cleaned up. All right. So now here's the question: knowing the contents of their hand, do you leave shields up, or do you take this one turn to try to deploy a threat so you can remain shields up for the rest of the game while getting some damage in?
No, we shields up no matter what.
Alright, so Noon says shields up no matter what.
I unfortunately I know what's
My
gonna come then, based on the way you phrase that.
my brain says, nah, they don't have a draw because they'd have to draw land into a faithless looting to maybe
Oh no, Curran, you're killing me here.
So what happens, of course, they untap a Dark Ritual immediately because they drew Entomb, and I get full for my sins.
So the reason why it's always leaves of shields is because you can still get Cradle.
Yeah, that was a big bummer, a big thing to remember and relearn.
You know what's the best part though, Curran? Is when you get punished, but you still win. So you also get the learning that comes along with that. You know what I mean?
That is true. Let's delve into game two and take a look at what kind of hand we have to offer here. Uh, Looks great to me. How does that look to you?
Triple hate piece. I love it.
So, of course, we're gonna go ahead and fire off the Thoughtseize immediately just to make sure there's no shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
Their hand is this. What do you take?
Let's see. Two reanimation spells, Entomb, Looting, and Seize. Uh, that is interesting. I feel like we have to take Seize because we have the endurance, right?
Okay, that's one line of thinking for sure. Now, I will say the greed in me wanted to go after the Lotus Petal and just be like, haha, your hand's uncastable. But, of course, them drawing any land immediately just makes me lose the game. So, I actually thought the most powerful thing that they could possibly do would be anything involving the Stark Ritual.
Okay, that's
Um,
reasonable, I guess.
because the other thing about the Thoughtseize is if they burn this petal to Thoughtseize, that was their only mana source.
Mm-hmm.
So that may not be the worst case scenario. Anyway, I take the Dark Ritual.
You get burned though if they draw land, but they probably don't.
Yeah, so they are going to pedal into the Faithless Looting. Discard Exhume and Animate Dead, miss land, drop, and pass a turn.
Woo, that is really good for us.
Let's go ahead and get that Reclaimer down, do a little ramping while we're at it. Why not?
I love it. I like it.
They unmask pitching Thoughtseize and they take the Grist
Interesting take.
and pass back to me. Hilarious just on point with the funny jokes.
If I had a nickel for every time that happened to me.
Every time.
I mean, the good thing is I think we've won already from here, outside of drawing the bog. And even then, I think with the endurance in hand, might still be enough. That Seize there is pretty clutch.
Fire Thoughtseize and they concede.
Like it. I like it.
On to game three. So, this hand is terrible to me because it has no turn zero interaction and Bojuka Bog is in hand, which is the place we don't want it.
I would roll this hand as well. It's a trap hand because you don't have any kind of clock.
This six is also not good because
There's no interaction. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, the one of Leyline of the Void. It's so good to see you. Oh, you know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll bottom besiege you in a fetch because Dryad Arbor is a green card. Always gotta remember that.
That is very, very important. But yes, heads up play right there, keeping the arbor. I love it. And here they seize us. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they take the Thoughtseize because it's scared.
Is that a natural order that we drew?
It is natural order.
Okay, I probably would lead with the arbor there because I don't think we're casting natural order anytime soon. So I'd probably lead with the arbor there in case we drew a green sun.
That's fair. So here comes the classic line that Reanimator players always You're making my endurance
Yeah, I cannot tell.
find it victory.
I cannot tell you how many times reanimator players have tried to reanimate anything but a fatty against me, and it never works.
Absolutely never works. And they're down to 15. I'm at 19. The racing situation is not great for them.
My only thinking is they continue to do it, so it must work against somebody. I'm just trying to figure out who that somebody is.
It's just not us.
It's just right. It must be some other matchup. That's the only thing I can think of. I
So,
love this play, by the way. To put
yeah, I just wanted to make sure that the natural order didn't get discarded on the next turn, and putting a
Mhm.
5/5 into play at this point is enough.
Yeah, I love that play. I think the alternative play is I don't know where Gris is at the moment. Like there is some merit to just Gris and tick up.
Yeah, I do have grist as well, but I just decided 5/5 would be good enough.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Like I definitely like the damage. Like that's a reasonable line.
And that's the end of the quarterfinals. Now on to the semifinals, where things tragically came to an end. But hey, let's ride that train, I guess. So game one, perfectly reasonable hand here.
Mm-hmm. I would snap keep that for sure, regardless of what they're on. Yeah, it's so funny that we both independently, have our stories to tell of these reanimator players trying to reanimate like an endurance or like their what's it called their grief, right? It just never works.
Never. So they force a will the Fiend Artisan, which means things are probably clear to resolve in natural order
Mm-hmm.
next turn. And one of the best natural order targets in this matchup remains to me to be Endurance still, just because it does so much to just shut down their creatures.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we just kind of go for it.
So I think that I would have pitched the Wirewood for what it's worth, but I think your line is fine because it's mana, right?
Oh, right, yeah. I guess I didn't consider that. Misty Rainforest on top means we get to resolve these spells. Main deck counterbalance, by the way. How rude.
That is the new tech. I don't know if you saw, but Baku has won 3 straight challenges with two counterbalances made. So it's something to keep in mind for us.
Not that it's hugely effective against us, but it is nice to know that it's there, I suppose.
It's like very hit or miss in my opinion. Like it's either insane or does nothing from what I've seen.
So at this point, I just decide to full send it on this natural order. If it resolves, great. If it doesn't, great. And it resolved, and we win.
Nice. Okay.
Time for the wheels to fall off. Alright, so what happened? Oh, I remember how this game unfolded. Now, this hand is honestly pretty sweet.
I think it is okay. Yeah, I would probably keep, but it's like it has a lot of sneak potential. If that makes sense, to get them. Oh, they're gonna
Here it
daze.
comes again.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So good.
So at this point, I'm like on top of the air, except for the fact that.
Oh, ouch.
Laser, just straight to the dome.
Oh my god.
I crop rotate the Bajuka Bog for the Bajuka Bog in response to the Wasteland just to get some heat.
hmm I think the only thing I would have done was because we didn't have any creatures in yard. I might have played around that personally, and because we, especially with the shepherd, we have activation and just hard cast the spirit guy. I don't know if we had enough mana, but I think we did. But we would have played the cradle though.
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, yeah, it's kind of hard to tell.
Oof, that is brutal. Do you have any more arbors?
I think one. Yeah, one's still in deck here.
I think I would have main phased the Once Upon a Time for what it's worth, in case we hit a land,
Oh, okay.
and then just played it right. Yes, we get punished a little bit for that here.
Yeah, this one just kind of
The problem is
zeroed it out.
the problem is one like mishap really cascades in this kind of matchup. Unfortunately, ooh, Murktide. How big is the artisan there? 7/7.
7/7.
Just a random, a huge Tomagoy. Ooh. Submerge is so brutal against us at the moment. Like that is a card that I'm like very scared of.
Yeah, Submerge is definitely a nightmare.
Pun not intended, right?
Oh yeah, this is how this ended. So this opening seven was just kind of obviously not a keep. Um, this six I probably should have sent back as well, but I saw the ramp sources and I just thought maybe it would be fine.
I personally would keep that too because I don't think we're winning on a five. But I would have bowled the endurance for what it's worth. What did you put back?
I think it was a symbiote.
Yeah, I think I keep that just because I don't think we're gonna hit three lands anytime soon. So I just want castable things and hope we don't get rushed too badly in the first few turns.
So you can see here that I'm a little shell shocked from the and the festivities from last time. So I don't go for the double arbor here.
Uh huh.
Maybe I should have.
I don't blame you because it's weird for them to keep volcanic up.
Right.
Like if they had, yeah, I don't blame you. I feel like if they had bolt, they should have bolt the bird, right? Like it's very strange what they're doing. Oh, that daze is so backbreaking right there in this scenario.
Yeah, I was not quite ready for that. I just kind of keep cleaning up everything. Oh yeah, so I decided to pitch endurance, or pitch grist to endurance here because this looked like a Murktide line to me, and Allosaurus Shepherd was out, so there were no chances of it getting countered.
Uh huh.
And I figured I would just follow up with a 5/5 Fiend Artisan next turn.
I think if it were me, I probably don't make that play only because I feel like we're just too many cards behind and we might not win, right? If we take that line, but I could be wrong. Oh,
when they
the
submerge
submerge.
it,
Oh my god. Submerge is so backbreaking.
and they daze the artisan. Yeah, I just lost control completely.
Yeah, it's tough, but hey, I will say, very good run. For the most part, you played really cleanly during the Swiss. I think if we could have back, game two, maybe we could have won this match. But I mean, overall, like it's hard to play perfectly throughout the entire match, and this was already towards the end of the event. So I think you did really well, Curran. Like like I said, for the most part, I didn't really have anything I would have personally done differently for the Swiss. I think definitely the brain fart we had against Reanimator, but you managed to eke that out. So I'm pretty very happy for you, Karen.
Thanks, Newton. That means a lot. I'm glad that we were able to review this and take a look at those things, and gotta just keep some of the sequencing tight for next time. Don't get lax like I did in a few spots, and I think I'll just keep crushing it. Honestly, this
No,
deck is so powerful in the way it's built right now.
for sure, for sure. I think one thing I want to highlight too that you did really well is um, after that misplay in game one against Reanimator in the quarterfinals. I think being able to keep your composure and not tilting off, so to speak, right? Uh, is very important, and I was very happy to see you pull out games two and three despite throwing game one. So that is like a very very good skill to have because mistakes are gonna happen, and not to be too preachy, I guess, but it's good that you don't cause one mistake doesn't cause future mistakes if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, exactly. I have worked on that skill for a very long time. Like the one loss is never the end of the world. You can't let it affect you like that unless it's like the tournament time is over.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can seethe in it and be mad about it all you want. But like when it's tournament time, every game you need to sit down and just be like, this is a fresh game, like a fresh game, and this is another opportunity for me to prove that I can win and just like see what I can do with that. You know?
For sure, for sure. I do have one quick question for you. Um,
Yeah.
the Plague Engineer. Have you had any reps with it against Delver? I know you played against Delver here, but we didn't really draw until it's kind of like too late already. How have you liked that against Delver personally?
This card has done some pretty dirty stuff for me already. I had a line where my opponent had three DRCs out, and I cleared the yard with an endurance, and then I just slam jammed a plague engineer named Human, and it was just like hilarious.
Nice, nice, nice. So you
Uh,
you definitely think it's worth it then?
Yeah, I think it's very important in other matchups like D&T and like just creatures that like share a similar type that you can really shut down. I think there's a lot of value in the card, and then of course it being a creature means it's a bullet for Fiend Artisan and a bullet for Once Upon a Time.
For sure, for sure.
So
I guess what I was asking also is like, I can see a world where maybe we have engineer in the sideboard, but maybe we don't bring it against Delver, or what do you think about that?
um yeah, I mean I think it's okay to leave out if you're not comfortable with it, but I also think that some of their best leads or like some of their best ways to win are through like Delver and DRC rather than Murktide at a certain point because we're like palming the removal for Murktide to like shoot on site,
May
and
Go
yeah,
ahead.
we're less likely to use these snuff outs on something like an active DRC or maybe even a Flip Delver.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like my experience lately is I actually don't find, the two cards that people complain a lot about, which are Murktide and EI, are actually the cards I'm least scared of because I don't think those are the games we lose anymore. I think the games that we lose are the ones where it's like double DRC or Delver start and like we just cannot stabilize fast enough. You know what I mean?
Right, we can like kind of effectively put the brakes on one
Right, right, right. For sure. Cool. Any since I have you here, any changes you would make to the list, or you think this is just fire right now?
I think this is flame right now. I would obviously want to try Chalice over Leyline for other tournaments. I don't know why challenges call to me, and it's like Leyline and challenges are just it's always necessary to bring at least one, and it always pays off for me. So,
I mean,
uh,
your tournament experience definitely paid off. We saw Leyline single handedly win like 1.5 matches, right? You count the lands matchup as half, and it single handedly beat Reanimator,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And it's just a one of, and it's just hilarious to me. It's like I didn't even bring the set. Uh, But one thing I will bring up too is I did use my winnings for a very fun list. Uh, I saw
Woo!
Dustin's deck and I decided to pick up my power and the things I needed.
Oh, I love it. That is
So
awesome.
I'll be joining you guys in testing some vintage. 'Cause And I'm already in my first vintage league. I'm 2-1 right now. My loss was to like mono white hate bears, but I beat Dredge twice, and the Dredge matchup is just so insanely good for us. It feels like.
Yeah, yeah. Our deck feels like we're pre-boarded against them with like the eight hate bears main, right? Actually, more than that, 12, right? If you count the endurances.
Yeah, exactly. You got the endurances, you got the scoos, you got the reclaimers and the death rights, like already, and then like in the board, it's just insult to injury.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. That is so good. Okay. Full disclosure, Twitch chat. I did not know Kern had done this, but I'm very happy to see that he's on board and has, I guess, what you can call a vintage deck at his disposal if he wants to use those QPs, the qualifier points on trying to queue for the vintage events, right? Or like the PTQs. Sometimes they have it in vintage. So
yeah,
I do love that Curran has picked this up in vintage and will definitely help us innovate. For those who are curious, this deck is actually in its infancy. I think in vintage, like uh, Justin and I pretty much only worked on it 2 days, and Justin already 5-0'd one time and then went 3-1 in a prelim. So I do think the deck is real and has major game against Dredge and major game against you know PO, right? The artifact based storm decks.
yeah, the mono white matchup was a little tricky to navigate, especially because there didn't seem to be much to board in, and like it was a close three that we lost in, but yeah. Aside from that, I feel like yeah, just natural predator for like dredge, natural predator for like artifact store. Uh, I'd also be willing to bet that we have like a decent shops matchup.
Yes,
So
I think the
I
one. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. The one thing that I thought was weird though was I'm not sure if Leopold is working correctly in the format because I put a Leopold into play versus Dredge while they had Bazaars out, and they were still tapping them and still getting Dredge draws off them somehow.
Oh, it's a replacement effect, so I think it is working correctly.
Oh, okay. So interesting. I thought it prevented even if you opted to replace your draw with Dredge. I thought it would still prevent that. Okay, so Leopold is not as good in that matchup as I thought it was. Then never mind.
No, no, no. Yeah, you bought it out. It unfortunately it doesn't do anything against their dredges. It can stop them drawing, but that's not really what we're afraid of. So, yeah, I believe it's not bugged. I think it's working correctly.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. That was a small lesson we picked up in the one game loss we took against Dredge, but we did close out Dredge 2-0 and closed him out 2-1 in the twice we played them. So
Nice, nice, nice. I do think the one change I would make is Justin and I discussed this yesterday on the stream, but probably we want room for Outland Liberator, but I we can discuss this in the Discord channel as well. But I love that you're on this list and something perhaps we can work on together as well.
I would be more than excited to help out with this research. Absolutely, this deck
Yes, DRS. How we miss? If only Deathright was legal in Legacy, we could like play grief in our sideboard instead of Thoughtseize, right?
Could you imagine? Like, what would we even do to this list, right? I guess we would just cut the dorks, right, and just put in the death rights.
Yeah, I think we would cut the dorks, put in the death rights, and the black count is like very high already, and probably good enough to support
Grief.
grief, right?
Yeah, that's hilarious to think about. Anyway, yeah, I think that's all the time that I really have for the stream today. But I wanted to go over these matches while they were still fresh in my mind a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and get that feedback. And I'm just glad that I feel like the more and more that we do this, the less and less like feedback I'm getting from you is all in the name of good progression. Like I'm getting better and better every time still.
No, I love it, Curran. Thank you for doing this with me because um, it's not even just for yourself, but I think a lot of people look up to you, like because you've had these strong performances and challenges, right? And then it's one of two things because I think some people get discouraged because they're like, oh, we can't play perfectly. But I mean, we saw today, like Curran played very tight during the Swiss, but it's not like he played perfectly the entire like all 6 and 8 rounds, right? Like there were a little bit here and there where maybe we could play a little bit better. So there's that for encouragement. And secondly, just like I think just watching Curran play, because he's a strong player, will help people. Just there's more videos out there in how to play the deck, right? Especially at a higher stakes event like a challenge, right? Whereas I'm only playing leagues, for instance. So definitely shout out to you, Curran, for your top 8, and always fun doing this as well with Curran. So thank you again for sharing this, and especially with it fresh in your mind from this morning, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's my pleasure, and rest assured I'll be back at it again tomorrow morning,
Love it, love it.
and seeing if I can do a little back to back of my own. I know that Baku's soaking it up in the hat trick that he's set up for himself. But he does have IRL plans tomorrow, as far as I know, so he won't be there to protect his seat.
Gotcha,
Uh,
gotcha.
so
I mean, the casual win 3 challenges in a row, and it's like, okay, I'll give somebody else a chance,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Hopefully they don't ban my deck.
So yeah, I think. Are you streaming tomorrow? If so, I can link your Twitter. If not, all good. You can always, if you top 8 again, we can also run it back. During the week. Same thing, right? Same story. Usually, I'll give the opportunity to any elf player who top 8s. I love to run through it with them. No matter how it goes, right? Like to review. I think people learn a lot from the just talking through the lines, especially since like sometimes it's like debatable whether something is right. Like you make a judgment call. I know I've been there personally. Like I made the wrong ones sometimes. Sometimes it's like a coin flip, right? Sometimes you make the right one by accident, but very nice to be able to talk this through with you, and then very happy to hear that you're happy with the list as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I personally won't be streaming tomorrow. I'm still going about working on a few things behind the scenes of some of my content creation, getting some things ready. I will let you guys know that in the future here, my YouTube channel is going to be overhauled completely. I'm going to be releasing weekly episodes of not only like gameplay videos, but also videos of stories related to Legacy, a little bit more about me as a player, how I got to where I am, things like that. And I will be basically ramping up the content coming into December of this year, and then having things for you guys weekly. So I am very excited to get all that rolled out. But there is still a few things I need to handle to make sure that I am, moreover, mentally and physically ready to take on the challenges. So,
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Also, in related news, I guess, Kern and I have been discussing a elf related podcast. We haven't. Well, we were supposed to record one day, like I think last month or something. I forget when it was, but then something came up, and unfortunately we weren't able to. So hopefully in the future we can get that going too. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, the podcast is one of my focuses right now as far as side projects. There's still some things I'm working on there as well. We might look into, I don't know, maybe honestly at this point, I would love to see a 23 or a 2023 premiere of our podcast.
Okay, there you heard it.
Like give us a couple months to iron out a few things, make sure that I have some stuff ready to go for that. But that is something Newton and I have been talking about behind closed doors. So you're hearing it here first, exclusively.
Yeah, this is like breaking news, right? But not really. But yeah, anything you would like to plug, Kern? Now that I have you, like obviously we just discussed your revamped YouTube page. That is pretty exciting news. And hopefully tomorrow I want to see another top 8 run from Kern on the if not the exact same 75, close to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, I might just throw out this ley line and try chalice, but also I might get scared and register ley line. We'll see how it goes.
Sounds good. All right, so I guess that is it for tonight. I'll go ahead and raid the Legacy Pit right now. But thank you everybody for dropping by and watching this review. I'm sure it's helpful for myself, for Curran, and for anybody who's looking to either pick up elves, spy on elves, whatever it may be, right?
Exactly, exactly. Well, thank you again for hosting, Newton, and I hope you have a good rest of your night, buddy.
All right, for sure, for sure. All right, we will raid and then I will disconnect real quick.